If you missed our awards night this year, you missed a cracker. However, we've decided to do a little video telling you who won what. And here it is. First off, a new award for Excellence in PR, awarded jointly with the Healthcare Communications Association. The winner, perhaps surprisingly, was the University of Bath.
This was a University of Bath study released last May, in May 2016, all about reducing injuries in youth rugby. It was an amazing study, really, from Professor Keith Stokes from the University of Bath's Department for Health, alongside England Rugby, the RFU. And it was all about a targeted exercise warm-up, if you like, for players, that they could perform full matches, 20-minute warm-up, that would significantly reduce injuries. And their study found that it would reduce normal injuries by 70%, concussions by up to 60%. So the study stood out on its own.
The Blogger of the Year, sponsored by Sanofi, was won by Nick Triggle.
The social care piece I wrote on the night that the proposals came out. I was up till 4 a.m. writing it, and we felt it was important. Social care was such a huge issue, and these proposals came out of the blue. So we really tried to take apart what the Tory party was saying. It was a complicated policy, and we wanted to distill it for our audiences.
The charity writer or broadcaster of the year was John Illman.
Throughout my career, there have probably been only 3 or 4 things that I've finished, and I thought, I've done what I wanted to do with that. And this winning entry about Bloodwise was one of those. So it was doubly satisfying to get an award for it.
The newcomer of the year was Dr. Oscar Duke.
It's a massive honour. I think the piece Born Too White was an amazing thing for me to do, both as a personal journey to meet people with albinism in Africa, but also to kind of shine a light on a topic which was little known about in the UK, but truly horrific, and the kind of persecution that these people were facing. So I guess it's a testament to journalism, but also sad in a way that these sort of stories exist that mean that we can win awards like this. And so I guess it goes to all of those people who suffer as a result of a genetic condition that they can do nothing about.
Regional Reporter of the Year was won, not for the first time, by Matthew Hill.
Regional journalism often is where the story originates. It's the big story, but locally, and it's not believed really until it appears in the Guardian or the Telegraph, and suddenly they think, oh, that must be a story. So I would say, regional journalism is a very important category, and the medical journalism awards are highly valued because they set a standard for all of us to try and strive for, and they're greatly appreciated.
The Mental Health Story of the Year was won by Keith Cooper. Highly commended were Catherine Carver and Catherine Jones.
So the piece was about the distance that some patients who access mental health services have to travel in order to get a bed, and these are patients who are severely mentally ill. We found a family whose son had sadly taken his own life, and we spoke to the mother and the father to find out how that had affected them. And I think that was perhaps the most powerful part of the piece, really, the mother talking about that. And I think actually she was very grateful after we showed her the material that we produced and the video that we produced, that she felt that the death of her son might have had some kind of meaning as a result of us being able to bring her experience to a wider audience and to explain how the extent to which the problem that her son suffered was a national problem.
The judges voted that the Freelance of the Year should be Faye Kirkland.
So I made 3 pieces for the BBC, 1 for Newsnight and 2 for the 6 and 10 o'clock news. One was about healthcare in prisons, one was about FGM, and the other one was about intersex care at Great Ormond Street Hospital. The FGM piece was looking at the care that people get when families are investigated to see if they've performed or had FGM performed on their children. Healthcare in Police Custody was looking at, we had whistleblowing doctors and healthcare professionals talking to us about poor care in prisons, so things like skull fractures being missed. And the last piece was about whether the care at Great Ormond Street Hospital was meeting the required standards.
Case Study of the Year was won by Joe Waters, and two people were highly commended, Catherine Jones and Patrick Strudwick.
Yeah, this was about a Commonwealth Games gold medalist cyclist called Alex Dowsett, and he actually has haemophilia, but has managed to achieve fantastic achievements in cycling. Despite his it's not a disability because of the new treatments that are available. And so this was a good way of using a personal story to explain how treatments have completely changed in the sort of last 20 or 30 years. So I enjoy my work very much. I consider myself very fortunate, and I'm thrilled to win this tonight.
Feature of the Year for a specialist audience went to Natasha Lodder, and highly commended were Linda Geddes and Amy Maxman.
Oh my goodness. Well, it was such a difficult category to judge because we had 34 amazing entries. But the thing about this winner was the really substantial, important nature of what they were writing about. It felt different from the other entries in terms of the breadth of the piece, the immense accuracy, and the way in which they covered a very, very important subject in enormous depth.
Feature of the Year broadcast went to the team that produced Chris Packham, Asperger's and Me.
This was an incredibly compelling documentary, really emotive, really thought-provoking, and all the judges felt that 3 or 4 weeks after seeing it, we were still thinking about it and wanting to talk to people about it. A worthy winner.
Feature of the Year for a general audience went to John McDermott. Highly commended was Joanna Moorhead.
Well, it was very difficult. There's a huge variety of features, but that particular feature revealed something that you might not know. It was incredibly well written. It gripped you right from the beginning. It sort of surged along, and it was weaving in interviews and anecdotes and facts and figures on a very important issue. But as I said, so we chose that winner. I think it was a sort of perfect feature for us.
News Story of the Year for a specialist audience went to Grace Lewis and Annabelle Collins. Highly commended went to Carolyn Wickware.
I think it kind of showed us that when you get something as kind of exciting as the document we got, not to just leave it at the initial story. There's always much more to tell and to keep running with it, and you can find more things out, and it kind of showed us that persistence always pays off in journalism as well.
News Story of the Year broadcast went to the team at Channel 4 that produced a documentary on knife violence.
This was an unusual kind of TV reporting, longer than usual and deeper than usual, showing us all the cracks and all the realities of the NHS today.
News Story of the Year for a general audience went to Dennis Campbell and Pamela Duncan of The Guardian.
We revealed that more than 500,000 pieces of what should have been confidential, secure medical information about test results and all sorts of things to do with patients' health, mainly letters and test results from hospitals to patients about their GPs about the patient's health, had gone missing. No one had ever acknowledged this, and all the pieces of correspondence, the letters and so on, were gathering dust literally in a warehouse in north of England. The NHS Constitution insists, decrees that the NHS has to be open and transparent in everything it does, in all its decision making, as the most important public body in the country. Sadly, the history of NHS, patient safety feelings and quality of care feelings, in this case data feelings, show that sadly very often secrecy takes the place of openness.
The award for Science Explained went to Kat Arney.
It was a fabulous story. It was really unpacked some quite dense science in a really engaging way. And what really impressed us was how it panned across the world, but also panned across the body and panned across diseases in a really insightful way, and gave us a vision of what the future might look like. It was a great piece of science journalism.
Editor of the Year, sponsored by Lily, was Christina Earle. The award was picked up on her behalf by her husband, Ollie. And finally, outstanding contribution to health or medical journalism, sponsored by Edelman. The award, judged by all the judges collectively, went to Christina Earle.
It's absolutely fantastic that she's received recognition tonight. It really is, and the two awards are just it's wonderful. I mean, I was in tears, I've got to admit, but at the same time, I can almost feel her tugging at the back of my jacket and saying, "Dad, for goodness sake, tell them I only wrote the stories. The real heroes in this story are the people that I wrote about, and they're the ones that for whom she would have accepted the award." I think it's that's the sort of lass she was.